we here? We are all connected to the stars. We are all one. Who do you want to be?
Hello, all you lovely souls. Welcome to Gaia Intuitive's YouTube channel, where we explore all things spirituality, extraterrestrial contact, psychic awareness, channeling, and more. Please subscribe and hit the thumbs up. It will not only help me, but it will keep you in the loop as well when I upload new content. Today, we have Ryder Lee from Raised by Giants with us. Most of you know him from his channel, but he is also my partner, and we are very excited to be here talking about the astral world today. How are you, Ryder?
I am doing great, Saly. Thank you for inviting me on. It's amazing that you created your own YouTube channel. That's what I've been trying to get you to do for a while now. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do in the future and where you take it, because it's going to be a great adventure. You open up all kinds of new doors doing stuff like this. So I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. And obviously, I couldn't have done this without you. I feel like you've been a huge catalyst in getting this up and running. So where do we start today? I know that we were speaking earlier about a lot of dreams that we've been having. You and I have both experienced more than 3 or 4 times the same dream, down to finer details as well.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting when people have the same kind of dream, right? There's definitely some kind of connection there, more than what we can even put together in any kind of words. And I've been speaking to you a lot about your dreams and what's been going on and your astral experiences. And a lot of them are very difficult for you to explain because there's so much going on in it. I'm like that too, but a lot of them jump around a lot, and I know that you've experienced that too. Like I'll be in like one place doing one thing, and then the next minute, like I'm in a completely different, separate place. And then like none of it really makes any kind of sense whenever you like get back out of it.
Definitely. I think with the astral, you get to like, at least in my understanding, there's a multitude of layers going on, and different densities and things like that. And then there's not only those things, but how we perceive it may not actually be, there's analogies and things like that. I think we see things really differently. But when we first met, I think it was like the second day that we spoke, I was telling you about a dream that I'd had. And that dream, you stopped me halfway through and just said, I had that exact same dream last night.
Yeah, that was really wild. I think there was definitely some differences about it, but the same premise of it was like exactly the same. Like whenever you were explaining it to me, I was like, holy shit, like that exact same thing just happened to me last night. It was just in a different kind of scenario. I was driving. Well, I wasn't driving. I was in the back seat of a car with like 3 or 4 other friends. I didn't know them. I had no idea who they were. And we were I think I was like back home in like West Virginia or whatever. And we were driving on like Route 2 or something. And there was like this mist that we drove through. And I knew subconsciously that I needed to hold my breath through this mist, or like I was going to die, right? Like if I inhaled the mist, like that was it. Like I was done. I was either going to die or I was going to get like knocked out or like pass out or whatever. So like right before we hit the mist, I didn't have time to tell the other guys, like the other people that were in the vehicle. And I just took a really, really deep inhale breath. And I do a lot of breath work and stuff like that. I feel like I can hold my breath for a decent amount of time. And I knew that I would be able to hold it until we got through the mist. And I took a really deep inhale and then held my breath. We made it through the mist. The mist just came straight through the car. Like, it wasn't
Did
like,
the mist affect the other people in the car?
yeah, whenever we got through the other side, well, whenever we went through the mist, it was like the mist like encompassed everything around me, so I couldn't see what was happening to the other people that were in the car. So whenever we got through it, I like looked around, and like everybody else that was in the car was like dead, like they were gone. And I didn't have like I wish I could have like told them like, yo, like hold your breath, like we're getting ready to go through this super deadly mist. But it was one of those things I didn't have enough time to even tell them,
Yeah, right. And that same night, I was in a room and I just heard, like, it was almost like some sort of military feeling operation where all of a sudden just like entities or beings of just like blank face, just they didn't really have any standout quality or anything to them. They just came in and like raged through the whole room. And then all of a sudden there was red smoke everywhere. And like you said, I do a lot of breath, you do a lot of breath work, I do a lot of breath work. And so my first thought was, I was very lucid, and I just said to myself, breathe through this and breathe really slowly and try to keep your breath to a minimum. So I really wasn't breathing in the smoke. I remained semi-conscious. And what I remember was that they were coming around and scanning people. So we were all just like next to each other, slumped over, and they were scanning our backs and our bodies. And I could hear them making observations on people. So, I remember clearly the one next to me, they said like cancer, liver, something. And then they got to me, they scanned my back, they scanned it a few times. And I felt right when it went to the middle of my back, it was this like sharp pain for a split second. And someone else came over, and I remember one of them had said kidneys or liver or something like that about me. And the other one said, leave this one. And then they went on to the next one, and that the dream went on from there. But that was a really, really significant experience. And I think it blew our mind talking about it afterwards.
Yeah, that was a really intense one. And then there's a bunch of other ones too, like, being in there for like a week or two, like every single night I was having like a dream of like being in a hotel, like all the time, like every time like I was in a hotel, and there was always this receptionist guy that had a really weird freaking look on his face. He had one of those like hats, like the bellboy, like hop hats or whatever you call. I don't know what they're like in Australia, but it's kind of like one of those guys that takes your bags to you go to a hotel room, and he takes your bags like up to your hotel room for you. And the guy was like always there, but I could never hear anything that he was saying. Like, it was like he was like muted, like out of like my dream. But I knew like what he was saying was very important. Like, he was giving me like really good, solid information that I needed to know, but I couldn't hear what he was trying to tell me.
Interpret it.
Yeah.
It's funny, I feel like we went through what, 2 to 3 weeks where we were almost every night having hotel dreams, where both of us were in a hotel doing some kind of work or having some kind of experience together.
Yeah, then there was the other one too, where I was in like
the children.
Well, there was a children one, and then there was another one like where it was like the end of the world or something like that. And then we were like held up in like a big building or something, and there was like a go-kart, like,
yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, there was like a go-kart area set up, and like that's all that these people had at the end of the world. Like they were just working on go-karts, and like that was the only thing that they could do for fun. And there was like a huge go-kart track, and then there was like a loft area where like everyone would go up to, and that's where they lived, and then, like they like lived side by side in like cots,
Yeah,
like beside
actually,
each
I
other.
think that I've had that loft one too. I think I told you about that a couple of weeks ago, where there was it was like an abandoned loft type thing, like no one's around. It's like end of the world type stuff. It is that like eerie feeling to it.
And then the one with the children was really interesting too, because you a lot of your dreams has been involving children and stuff, and we were talking about that earlier today, and I found it.
Something, well, yeah, like what you said earlier today blew my mind, just about the possibilities, like when we were talking about what the possibility, what these dreams could actually mean, or what they could entail. So like the dream I had last night was full of children and full of adults as well. So these were like sketchy, dodgy motherfuckers. This was like a party, but it was like a shady shit was going on. And there was children everywhere. There was also, I mentioned, like there was cages around and things like that. And I specifically went to 4 of these children and grabbed them physically and took them. But one of them I looked at, and I looked him right in the eyes, and I said to him, like, you're safe, you will not be hurt. I release your pain, I love you, and you will always remember this. And then I took those 4 children, and I told you about that, and it really opened up a interesting conversation as to what the meaning of that dream could entail.
Yeah, I had one. I think it was like a couple of weeks ago or something that I told you about too, where again I was like back home in West Virginia, and I got captured, and they took me to an underground like area underneath the school, like the high school in my town, and I was down there for what felt like days, maybe probably weeks for sure. And there was like cages, like there was like a bunch of different areas, and there was a lady there, or a girl. I never saw her face, and she was planning on escaping, and helping people escape and like get out, and she done something, and she came by through the cage and like threw me like keys and like all of my belongings that they had captured me in there with. And then she was like, run, like get out now, we only have like a certain amount of time to like leave and like get out. And I
Yeah,
followed her.
we've discussed previously off camera, children being held and used and abducted and things like that underground. We've discussed all of those sorts of topics. So something that was really interesting that came up was the possibility of astrally, are we doing some kind of work that's correlating with that? Where, are we going down and helping those souls, helping those energies down there? Are we, there's discussions of cloning and things like that. So do we have clones down there of ourselves that we are connected to, that we are trying to free? I really liked one theory that you brought forward as well, the one that was discussing whether we're going down there to free, like maybe whether those souls have passed over and are sort of like stuck in like somewhat of an abyss As you know, like a lot of we hear people talking about like ghosts and spirits when they're, you know, killed or tortured or die in a way that's not pleasant. Sometimes they get stuck in this weird abyss where they don't know where they are and they're lost, and they need help in really transitioning properly. And so we discussed the possibility of those souls being down there and stuck in that same sort of situation and going in astrally to do that work to help them and relieve them.
Yeah, I think so. I think that that's a part of it too. I'm not 100% sure if it's a physical thing or if it's 100% astral. I think it can go either way. It can be us going down there to try and help them and free them, like their spirit and their astral body, or it could legit be like a physical thing that we're actually doing. I'm not 100% sure, but what was really interesting about my dream is that I was a full grown adult down there that was captured, and I was literally with a bunch of different kids, right? They were all kids, and I was like the only adult that was there that was in one of these cages too. And the girl that like set me free was also young as well.
Did those kids get to leave as well?
Not that I remember. I think that me and her were the only two that escaped, because my car was still, the car that I was driving in the dream was still parked in the school parking lot.
Yeah.
And she threw me my keys to the car because somehow she was able to get a hold of like all the belongings. It was like being in a prison, like in a jail.
I think sometimes we like with dreams and things, like we will see it as, say, for example, like set in a school. I like to use, like, usually I explain to people like there's usually a backdrop, and I think that backdrop is generally created by us because it's something that's familiar. It might not be created by us. It could be a projection, but I think that a lot of the time those places that we go and experience are just something like a green screen to cover what's actually going on.
Yeah, a screened memory, a screened dream to make us kind of feel comfortable about the situation, to bring us something that seems kind of familiar to us. Because if they were to show us exactly what was going on, we probably, I mean, some people can handle it, but they would probably freak out, you know.
Absolutely.
So
it's full on.
They have to throw in some of the things that kind of make us feel comfortable and bring a familiarity to us. So and then that's what we remember. We don't actually remember the real thing.
I mean, even as well, like the smoke dream, for example, that was, you know, situations like that could well be an abduction experience when you're, but I think a lot of people are under the illusion that an abduction experience is always physical in this physical reality. Whereas a lot of the time, I mean, I think it was Anthony, Canadian Awareness, that said that like 90% of these experiences happen astrally.
Yeah, they have the ability to kind of take you whenever they want to take you. You know, if like if you're going to be abducted, like you're going to be abducted, like no matter what. And, you know, something that Anthony told me too was that like your soul, your higher self has to agree to it on a certain level. Like he told me that I've been abducted by the Zeta Grays a lot, right? And he said that my physical being, like me right now, Ryder Lee in this moment, doesn't consent to it. I don't want it, but my higher self made an agreement that it was okay. And I'm trying to work on that right now and figure out how to
disconnect
that part of it. But I've known that for quite a long time that I had been being abducted. I just didn't know by who or like by what, and I didn't understand why. But of course, normally abductions revolve around, genetic material, semen, eggs, skin tissue, hair, follicles, like for, hybridization programs and, creating whatever kind of race that they want to create, or, repairing their own DNA in some sort of fashion.
Or as well, I mean, like these abductions and things can happen for healing as well, like healing our own self. I know that one of the first experiences I had with one of my reptilian guides or counterparts that I'm working with was when he placed his hands like over my feet, and it felt like a suction cup. It was the weirdest experience. Like it felt like he was like sucking on my feet, but with his hands. And 24 hours later, I mean, I had like severe cystic acne that I'd had for like a decade. It would not go away. I could not get rid of this acne, and it was all over my face. And he did this, and 24 hours later, it was cleared, and I've not had any since then, not like one pimple. So I think that there's like a number of reasons that we can have contact with these entities or beings, energies.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Preston Dennett gets into a lot of the healing abductions, and I've had him on my channel before. I've interviewed him, and he gets into like ETs that have abducted people for health reasons, to heal them, to heal their cancer,
because
to heal their tumor.
They're looking to fine tune their lineage. So if you're a part of that, then they're going to want to make sure that those inconsistencies or genetic flaws that they would see as genetic flaws don't continue.
Yeah, and I think that it was whenever I started really waking up with like burn marks like all over my legs, like I knew something more was going on, and that was probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever I was here. And like I started like just waking up with huge like burn marks, like that big, like on the inside of my legs, like on my thigh, like 3 and 4 of them at a time. And
I remember, and I asked you, I said like no lighter, no like, cigarette burn, nothing like that. There was nothing it could have been.
No, I don't smoke, I don't vape, like I don't do any of that stuff. Like I don't even have a lighter in this apartment. I don't think. But yeah, I have the pictures. I still haven't sent them to you yet, but yeah, the one on my left thigh was like really, really big, and it took a while to heal. But the weird thing about it is none of them scarred.
Really?
Yeah, none of them scarred. There is not any scar from.
See, I get bruises. Like I'll get big bruises. Like half my leg will be just black, and I'm pretty small, so these bruises stretch all over my body. That's a fairly common occurrence, but generally I feel pretty safe. Like I feel like in the astral, in my astral experiences, I feel very protected, very strong. I don't feel very often like I'm not in control or that I'm at the mercy of really anything or anyone.
Yeah, there was one time that really freaked me out from like from an astral experience that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That like I was laying down to go to sleep one night, and I think I might have talked about this on one of my shows. I can't remember which one it was, but I was laying down to go to sleep, and when I went to sleep, I woke up strapped down to this chair, like an upright like chair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like one of those ones that you would see in like an insane asylum or something, where they strap you down and it's like vertical. It's like standing straight up, and they had me strapped down. They had me gagged, and they were hitting me with like some kind of frequency weapon. And
True.
yeah, they were like hitting me in like my legs and like my stomach and like in my chest. And there was two guys there. One dude was like wearing like a lab coat, and he was like close to me, and then the other guy was the one that had like the frequency weapon that was like hitting me. And then like after they had hit me like with all of it, the one dude came up and whispered in my ear and said something to the effect of like, uh, don't resist. We can do whatever we want to you here. And that's immediately like when I woke up, like out of that state, and I was in like a full blown panic attack,
Yeah.
like straight up, like everywhere that they hit me, like with the frequency weapon, like hurt on my body. Like they'd hit me in the knee, they'd hit me in the foot, they'd hit me in the like in the gut.
Did you notice any like difference in like in the next few days or weeks or months after that in terms of your like reality here?
Well, what ended up happening was whenever I got out of that state, I was, like I said, I was in a full blown panic. Like I felt like that I was legit going to die. Like I know you've had panic attacks, other people have had panic attacks. This was like a, a full blown panic attack. And there was nothing that I could do about it because I didn't understand why. Like, why am I in a panic right now? You know, and then I'm trying to wrap my brain around what just happened, and it's not making any sense to me. Right. So when I couldn't lock on to anything, like to wrap my head around what had happened, then I just kind of got into this like limbo state. Right. It was a make or break thing. Right. They were trying to test me to see if they could, if I would break or not, or if I would
And they
lose my
do
mind.
that. They do that. They really, really test you, like physically, mentally a lot, mental warfare.
That was a mental one, like straight up mental, because I could have got lost in that. Like I legitimately could have. Like I could have literally freaked the fuck out, and it could have split my consciousness in half. Like legitimately, that's the kind of point that I was at. And like nothing was helping me. Like I tried to like put on some like 432 hertz music, listen to like a podcast to like try and calm me down. I was the only one here. You know what I mean? I was like by myself here. There wasn't anybody else here. And I was like, okay, well, I need some kind of assistance. Like I need to like call out to somebody for something, you know, to like come and help me. And I called out to my guides, and one of them showed up like legit in my apartment. And he had on like he had like a visor on. He kind of looked like Cyclops from the X-Men is what he looked like. He had like a skinny visor that went across his eyes, and then he had one that like went up from the middle of his forehead, like all the way up around. And he was wearing like a black spandex suit, and he had it like he had like an energy sword. I know this probably sounds wild or whatever, but he
No,
did.
I'm just trying to envision this. I'm like,
He had an energy sword, and he like cleared all the bullshit that was like happening in my apartment. And he gave me his name, but I'm not going to reveal what his name was because I think that that's an important thing. But he literally took care of like, I don't know if it was my higher self. It's probably something like that, or I just referred to him as like a guide or like a spirit guide or maybe an ET guide or something. But he literally came in, and whenever he came in, like it just lifted like up off of me, and like I was like fine.
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? We really have so much power in terms of when we ask for help or when we reach out and really truly desire the connection. They will make it with us. Like they will respond every single time.
Yeah, I legit thought that I was having a heart attack, like
Yeah.
straight up. Like
Man, I've been in so many situations. I couldn't tell you, like just hundreds over the last, especially the last few years, where they have really put me through like rigorous training in terms of mental warfare, where I'm just sitting there being tortured mentally, just opposite someone, just every night, night after night after night, just torture, mental torture. And it's rough. You've really got to like, the astral realm it can be a rough place.
yeah, it was really intense, and I'm really glad that he showed up and kind of helped me through that process, because if he wouldn't have shown up, like I don't know how I would have gotten through it. I probably would have laid on my bathroom floor in my bathtub, curled up like a baby, rocking back and forth, waiting for someone to come find me.
Oh, well, I feel like the astral, or what I refer to the astral. I mean, I know that a lot of people just call it the dream state, or other dimensions, or whatever you want to call it. I resonate with the astral. That's what I've always referred to it as. But it is open to all of us, and I personally think that it is one of our best catalysts in achieving access and communication with these beings, and trying to, I guess it's like the in between that and this. It's that kind of like where it crosses over. And I think that that's a perfect thing to grab hold of and analyze and start like delving into and really looking at.
Yeah, it is, and they're really super like fascinating. Like the ones that I can remember that are super like really vivid, that I can really sink my teeth into. Like the majority of mine are just seems like and feels like random nonsense.
And there's different things as well. Like you get, like I know that I can always tell the difference. I don't know about you, but I can always tell the difference when there's aspects that are, subconscious transferring over. So, if I went to the circus today and then I went to sleep and I had a dream and there was aspects of the circus or whatever. So you can always tell when there's subconscious things that are flowing through, and you can always tell when it's something that's not subconscious and it's something deeper than that.
Yeah, like if you watch a movie or watch a TV show,
Yeah.
and then you dream about the movie or the TV show or something in that
Exactly.
scenario that you watched the night before. That's why it's important too to figure out what you're letting into your subconscious as well. Only let in certain kinds of information, right? Because whenever we're watching like random movies and we're just kind of passing it off as entertainment, like that's affecting our unconscious, and then our unconscious is trickling down into our subconscious, and our subconscious is trickling down
and
into our consciousness.
not even the stuff that we're conscious of in this life, but just the daily things that we're even just blind to, that are seeping into our awareness, and then causing chaos.
Yeah, and that's a way that if for the dark side, the manipulators, whatever you want to call them, of our reality, infiltrate into our subconscious and hijack our subconscious too, is like through the news, through the media, through movies, through TV shows, through video games. Video games is a huge one.
Advertisements, all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's like a hijacking of our consciousness on many levels. There's so many different levels to it. Symbology, certain words, certain colors, like they know what can elicit a response from us, and they've had that all worked out. They've had that figured out for decades now.
Definitely.
Ever since the MK Ultra program in the late 70s, like they've known about all that stuff, how to manipulate people's consciousness, how to supplant certain thoughts in there through repetition. So it's important to be aware of like what you're letting into your brain, because that's going to affect your entire being.
Well, Ryder, thank you for coming on my show, and thank you for being here and enlightening us all with the astral experiences that you have. And I know that there are lots of people out there that have very similar experiences. More and more people are having these experiences, and I think that it's important that we open this platform to allow people to talk about them, because obviously we are all one. And as a collective, the more people that talk and open up about these things, the greater the consciousness grows and the greater awareness there is out there. So thank you, and thank you for watching.
Thank you, Saly. I really appreciate you. And if anybody else has any experiences they would like to share, put it in the comments below.
Drop
So
it in the comment box.
we can check it out and hit the thumbs up to help Saly out, and subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all of that great stuff to show support. And thank you. I appreciate the laid back conversation. I like doing these, it's not so,
They're a bit of fun, aren't they?
yeah, they're a lot of fun, and I appreciate you a lot, and we'll do another one here soon. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for being here. I love you all, and I love your support, and I am looking forward to having many more discussions like these.